once again, a very good afternoon to all of you. And we sincerely thank you for joining us for this event. First of all, our sincere hope that you and your extended families are healthy and safe during this current pandemic. And we wish everybody who is recovering from this virus to get well very soon and be active again. And we are very, very hopeful that in the near future, we are able to put this crisis behind us. My name is Dr. Abhijit Sathe, and together with my colleagues at MIT Pune TBI, I once again welcome you to this webinar. To those of you who are unfamiliar with MIT TBI, we are part of MIT World Peace University in Pune, formerly known as MIT College of Engineering. MIT is one of the oldest and most reputed education institutes in Pune and Maharashtra. One of the founding members of MIT College back in 1983, Professor Prakash Joshi, is currently the director of our incubation center at MIT TBI, and we are very fortunate to have him at this webinar today. MIT TBI was established in year 2016, and we received approval and funding support from the Department of Science and Technology in 2018. We are among a very few institutes in Maharashtra that has received DST support and funding, and we are very thankful to the Government of India for providing us this opportunity. Our facilities are located inside the scenic campus of MIT World Peace University in Kothur area of Pune, where we have approximately 11,000 of square feet dedicated space for incubation related activities. We offer very state-of-art infrastructure for all entrepreneurs, including our own students, and the facilities include plug-and-play office spaces, rapid prototyping facilities including 3D printing, central workshops, high-end computer center for AI/ML related work, extensive mentoring and hand-holding support, and also the alumni and network connect of MIT College. Please visit our website at mittbi.org and get in touch with us for more information on how we can help you. So moving on to today's topic of fundraising for startups. The current pandemic has forced several startup companies to relook at their business models and actually explore new opportunities for funding and revenues. So I would say raising capital from investors is now much more important than ever. Most of us have hundreds of questions actually when it comes to the investment world, such as how can I get funding? Am I ready to speak to investors? What is the valuation of my startup company? How should I go about preparing my pitch deck and so on? And many more questions. To answer these questions, we have among us Ms. Sonal Agarwal Bali, who is first of all a very good friend of mine. She is a financial advisor, a startup mentor, and an active investor herself. I have had the privilege of knowing and working with Sonal for more than 4 years, and I have seen her passion in supporting startup companies and entrepreneurs across a variety of sectors in a range of topics, including financial modeling, fundraising, cash flow management, and so on. She is one of the most active startup mentors I have come across. Today she'll be speaking about the basics of what it takes to raise fund, what does it mean to have a valuation of your startup company, and so on. So without wasting much more time, I hand it over to Sonal, and once again thank her for this wonderful opportunity. Sonal, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Abhijit, for that warm welcome, and always a pleasure to address startups through you, because you yourself have been a great support to this ecosystem, and I really relish working with you on whatever we've done in the last few years of our engagement. So yeah, I think today's topic on fundraising valuation is very crucial. And more so because of the pandemic, the entire investment industry has been impacted And unfortunately, startups have been really impacted very much. We've seen, investors either focusing on their present portfolio companies to tide them over the global crisis, or for the new startups, you see a lot of delay, because they want to kind of have discounted valuations and spend more time on due diligence, look at the product efficacy, and also see whether the startups have been able to remodel themselves, or have been resilient enough to adapt to the current situation. Sorry. So I will just because it's a very it's a young group of startups who have just kind of started, and they are very early stage of what I understand. So I will try and explain the basics of fundraising, valuation, pitch making through one of my presentations. So I will just share my screen and would want to take you across. Yeah, one second.
Housewife is this thing. Housewife आहे. तशीच कणकेची आज धुवून आली आहे.
In the meantime, may I request everybody else to keep themselves on mute, please?
Yeah, that will be good.
Actually on.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Sonal, we can see.
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. So yeah, raising funds for any early stage entrepreneur, I think that is a very important aspect. And today, in this world, when we are having young founders, who doesn't have a pedigree, or they've not worked in a lot of corporates to have bootstrap their money, so they look at the external factors to raise the funds. This is a typical journey of a startup, right? So once the startup is founded, obviously at some point in time, there is a need to search for investors. And they whether it is for an MVP or scaling or seed growth, whatever. So there is a stage where a startup founder, there's a need arises for them to search for the right investors, and then they start searching for that right investor, and the process of matchmaking begins. So not every investor may be an investor which is good for your venture. So we'll speak about it, and hence I say you have to search for that right investor. And once you're able to search for that right investor, then the rounds of negotiations will happen. You have to make the pitch, you have to talk about your financial model, you have to talk about your valuation, and the investor has to understand each and every aspect of your business. And then there'll be discussions and negotiations around the dilution, and then you get a final nod from the investor whether they are interested to invest in your venture or not. And then there are certain formal agreements like a term sheet, which is a non-binding agreement. Then there's a SHA, then there's a due diligence, and all those things happens. And then after a long time, 2-3 months of this tedious process, the final investment is put in your bank account. So that's the entire journey, and minimum to maximum, it is like, it starts with 1 month to 6 months process. So obviously, we should understand before we start even thinking of fundraising that it's a very, very involved process. So every startup founder should be aware that once they starts looking for a fund raise, then they have to be involved in that process. And there is nothing that you can outsource, because in an early stage startup, it is expected out of the founder to know everything. Yeah. So while you're going out for the right search, and always keep in mind that you have to search for the right investor, because every investor cannot be the right investor, right? So who are those investors? How do you look for those investors? So there are three kinds of investors. One who are strategic investors, one who are financial investors, and the third category is the investors or the people or the bodies which are promoting entrepreneurship. Like for example, MIT, AIC, all these incubation centers that you see, which are run by the institutes, IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, all these are investors or bodies which are promoting entrepreneurship. They have been mandated by the government to promote entrepreneurship, and during that program of promoting entrepreneurship, they also give you some funds. So for example, you are at a very early seed stage, then this is the right place and the best place to go, because there you will get some mentorship also. You will get to know how the startup ecosystem works. You will get a lot of network, whether it is for your product, whether it is for digital marketing, whether it is for mentoring of your business model, or for reaching to the right investors. Then as you move, you come to another set of investors who are financial investors. So they don't look into, they might be sector agnostic also, they might be sector agile also, but they are mostly investing for financial benefits. So they have to reap the returns. They look at the ROIs, they look at the scalability of the business, how the valuations can rise and give them benefits in the times to come. So those are purely financial investors. Then there are a lot of strategic investors. So strategic investors are those which will invest into a startup because they think that they will be able to impact their startup journey, right? So there might be family offices who want to promote entrepreneurship or who want to invest into a startup because there are a plethora of opportunities within the group where they can have the captive consumption of those startups technologies, and they want to keep abreast with the upcoming sector. So this is investing strategically, because they are going to be impacting your startup journey, and they're not just looking as financial gain, they're also looking to imbibe that particular technology along with their companies, or they think that they can bring value to your startup. Yeah. So when you're basically going out to search for that startup, you need to keep those parameters in mind, whether you want to go for a strategic startup, financial, or a startup which is going to be promoting entrepreneurship. And also these three kinds of startups, they are sometimes sector specific, or they are sometimes startup specific, right? So who are the sector specific startups? So they only look into investing into a particular sector. So for example, there might be impact investors who are only looking to invest into something which is impacting the larger geography, and it is creating an impact, a social impact or some kind of an impact. And then there are investors who are only looking to invest into edtech and fintech, only technology startups, deep tech startups. They are not looking to invest into something which is capex heavy. Yeah. So you need to understand that you need to actually chase for that right startup who fits into your startup thesis. If you are looking to, if you're a deep technology company and you go for a startup who's looking only to invest into a product, into something which is product, maybe a battery or maybe something which is, physical product, then maybe you are not the right fit for him, because you are a technology company. And vice versa, if you're building a product which is anything like an EV or something, and you go for a technology company which is only investing into deep tech, so probably he is not the right fit for your startup. So you have to be without these are things that helps you not to waste time on on investors which are not directly impacting or directly be impactful for your startups. And then there are startup specific investors. So they are basically looking only into a particular startup. Okay, there is a business model which is unique in nature. It has a great team. They have a good existing investor. They want to they want another person to come and lead the round, and they will just assist you. They only look at unit economics and the exits. So these are they are sector agnostic, but they want to focus on a particular startup and its USPs, like a great team and a great business idea, scalability, who are the existing investors. If Sequoia has invested, so probably anyone else would come and invest, because they know that it is a reputed investor who has already believed in the idea. Yeah. So how do you find the right investor? So there are a couple of opportunities available. So you need to understand which stage you are in, and then you have to go to the right set of investors. So there are VCs, then there are angel investors, then there are crowdsourcing or crowdfunding sources. Then you have banks, which also offer some startup schemes and funding. And then there are government schemes like Startup India, MSME schemes, and all those, fund of funds. So these are all government driven startup funding. So then you need to understand what is the kind of person, or what is the stage of your startup where you want to go to maximize your time and not waste your time. And obviously, I always say that your customer is your best investor. So always keep in mind that you have a paying customer by your side when you're going to procure funding from the external sources. So what is when you're going to meet the startup investor? So what is that you have to keep in your mind? So there are three things which the founder needs to understand and have to really work upon it before he even tries to reach to the set of investors. What are those three things? Number one is your pitch. So as I say that, your pitch or your elevator pitch is the visiting card. If that visiting card is not impressive enough, the credentials on your visiting cards are not impressive enough, you will not get the chance to pitch your idea to the investor. So have a great pitch by your side, and you should also go, and it's not just the pitch, but how you are pitching your startup. That's also very important. So one is a presentation pitch, and the second is your elevator pitch, that you are going to present yourself in front of the investors. So those two pitches have to be really very good. So you should go and look at, experience how the other founders are pitching to the startups. There are so many things which is available on YouTube as to how the founders have pitched their ideas and have then procured some funding. Shark Tank is a great model. It's all available. So you should watch those, those channels and those things available on the internet, which gives you an idea as to how you need to pitch your startups. Then obviously numbers. Number is very important. Number means your financial projections, your cash burn analysis, your funding requirement, your valuations. All these things comes under numbers. And also the numbers, if you're a very early stage startups, then what is the customer profile that you are going for? What is the revenue model that you have? Whether you're a B2C, a B2B2C, or a B2B, you need to understand. And then based on those assumptions, you have to put down your numbers. And you should be aware that when is your company going to break even, because the investor can ask any kind of question, right? So the number is a very important thing. I urge all the founders to actually start penning down your numbers as soon as possible. So as a kid or as a student also, you would have experienced that when you were getting a pocket money from your parents, you would try and spend it without even understanding ki if I'm getting a 10,000 rupees of pocket money, then whether it is going to last for a month or not, right? And then you would just spend it. After a couple of months, then you will realize that I've been spending my money, and I generally run out of money at the end of the month. So how do you do that? And how do you keep a tab that you are spending wisely so that you have this pocket money, which does not run out during the end of the month. So what do? You pen down your expenses, what you're doing, and you also pen down your future unforeseen foreseen expenses and unforeseen contingencies, so that you know that I have a 10,000 rupees in my pocket. So how can I kind of maximize this 10,000 over the period of 1 month? So similarly, if you percolate the entire example in your venture, this is what you have to do. You have to pen down your current expenses, your future expenses, and some contingencies which are unforeseen. And that's how you build a small plan. And then if you build up, 2-3 years, then you build a project or a business plan for your venture. So that's how you have to do. And when you start penning down, you will be able to understand when I'll break even, when is the time when I will run out of this money, and I will have to source it, whether from my parents again, or from whether I have enough savings, or whether I will go and borrow it from my friends and family. So this is exactly, you have to translate for your venture also, that when is the time when you're running out of your money, and you have to then go to raise that money from the external sources, which is an investor or a bank or anyone else. Third very important thing is the valuation. So generally what happens that the startups, they know the word valuation because it's much more hyped word in the entire startup ecosystem. But do you actually understand what a valuation is and how do you value your company? I don't know many people understand this. So I think for the startup founder, it is very important to know what is the value of your company, how it is arrived. So if you say, oh, it's my value of the company, say 5 crores, then what is the method that you have applied to actually arrive to that value? And it's always, sometimes it happens that during negotiations, either you offer too much or too little. So that's when the investor does not get interested in the venture, because if you offer too little, then also the investor will not be, interested. And if you offer too much, then he will understand that you don't know a bit about your business. Though it is it's a good thing for him. Probably he will invest in you and take away too much of equity of your company. But in the longer run, because it's not good for you, so it's not a wise investment decision that you have made, right? So you have to understand what's the valuation of the company, what is the right cost of capital that I should dilute, and always be aware of that you should not part every series. There is a approximate equity that one should dilute. So for example, if at reaching a stage of series A or series B, if you've already diluted say 50-60% of your company, then it becomes less attractive for the future investors, because the founder has got too little stakes in the company to be interested. And at series A and series B, the valuation of the company is not too much, right? So you have to be very judicious, and you have to be very methodical when you are putting the valuation in place. So we will just talk a little bit in detail about these three points. What is a good pitch? A pitch, I know everyone knows about what's a good pitch, but generally what happens, the graphical representation or the details that you're putting in the pitch, they are not too impressive, and hence you don't even get a chance to pitch in person with the investor. So what is a good pitch? Which should cover all the important aspects which the investor wants to look at. And please remember, the first impression is the last impression. You get only one chance in front of the investor, so make the most of it and have a pitch which has which is not very much cluttered with a lot of data, but it should be an elevator pitch which gives the important aspects of your business, which is like, what is the solution, what is the problem that you're addressing, and what is the solution like. What is I think the second thing which talks about the market size, competition, and market validation. Not many people pay attention to this, but this is very important for the investor to understand that what is the market size of the opportunity, who are the present competition, and how they are faring, how they are performing in the market. Because if your competition is not doing good, then probably you will also not do good if you don't have a USP to address the problems that your competition has not been able to address. And market validation is very important. So don't go with an idea unless you are going to an incubation center, right? An investor requires that there is a paying customer who's willing to pay for your startup. So market validation is you have done a small POC for your product and you can go with confidence that, see, this is the problem, this is the solution that I have made, and I have people who are ready to, vouch for it or pay for it. And then obviously overview of the entire business model. So who is your customer profile? What is your customer profile? What is the business model? Whether you're paper product hai ki, you are a subscription model or a freemium model, whether you are B2C or a B2B, as I said. So all that thing is very important for the investor to understand. And then lastly, you should have in your pitch, you should have a dashboard of your financial plan and projections. But at the back end, you should have all the numbers in detail ready with you when you go for the discussion. A super note would be like a very catchy tagline plays a good magic, because once you have left the room or your pitch has been closed, if there is a catchy tagline or something which is unique to your startup, it actually retains a recall value with the investor. So, sometimes that is the reason a lot of these startups are using unconventional names. Yeah. So I think Unacademy or Oyo, all these Byju's, these are very unconventional names. And hence, you don't forget them very easily. So don't try to keep a name which is like, there's so many other names already existing and you also have the name of your startup. So try and be a little unconventional when you're choosing a brand name for your startup. And obviously, as I said, that powerful introduction of team in pitch, because team is something which can, overcome the flaws in the business model. But if your team is flawed, then howsoever good your business model is, they will not be able to carry it for a longer time. So please keep in mind that there should be a good team introduction in your elevator pitch. And what are the numbers that you need to make sure of? When you're making a business plan or a financial model or a financial projection, so what do? You set your goals, and these goals are all linked to operational goals, revenue goals, cost goals, and marketing goals, technology goals. So all these expenses or all these goals have to reflect in your business plan, right? So if you have a vision of, say, acquiring 1,000 customers in 1 year, so you have to break down this 1,000 customers into small milestones or stepping stones or plausible structures, so that you can give smaller goals to yourself, take a pause, measure those goals, and then go to the next goal of yourself. So these are the stepping stones. So for example, in 1 year, if you want to acquire, say, 1,000 customers, so what is your first quarter? What is your second quarter? What is your third quarter? What is finally your fourth quarter? And if you are able to measure the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, you know that you are on the right path of your business goals. And so to achieve those business goals, what is the cost that will be there? So you have to put every cost to achieve those business goals, right? So this will then give you a business projection or a financial projection as to what is your revenue, what will be your cost, and what is your fund requirement, and what is the utilization of that your fund requirement. So you know that, okay, out of this, $10,000 that I require, $5,000 will go into my technology building, another $2,000 will go with my marketing, and another $3,000 will go for my working capital, which will require my manpower, my office expenses, my traveling expenses, so on and so forth, right? So that gives you a fair idea. And if you make it 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year into plausible steps, then probably at the end of 3 years, you know where your company is going to stand, what will be the revenue goals, and based on that projection, you will be able to arrive at the valuation also. Remember, the VC investment is not to reimburse your expenses. It is to help you scale your business model or to build your business that you are doing in your startup. So don't just give a reimbursement statement to the investor that these are my expenses, you need to reimburse me for that. What value this particular expense will bring to your business, I think that is what is going, what should be reflected to the investors. Coming to the valuation. So, what are the various methods of valuation? There are a lot of methods to arrive at the right valuation. These are, it is called as a discounted cash flow method, or an NAV method, or a Berkus method, or a scorecard method. There are a lot of methods which you think, which are there, which will arrive at the right valuation of your startup. But what generally happens in an early stage startup is that it is a guesstimate. So, when you put down your, if you're an early stage startup, there is no historical data, right? And even whatever projections you build will be just an Excel sheet, because you don't have any basis of that Excel sheet. So what generally happens in a early stage startup, that a scorecard method is used. So what is a scorecard method? It is, I'll talk about two main, valuation methods. One is a scorecard method, and the other one is a peer-to-peer method of valuation. So what is a scorecard method? So you take 4 or 5 important aspects of your business, like what is the solution that you're building? You give a particular weightage to that solution, right? Then what is the market opportunity that you have? And you give a particular weightage to that. What kind of team you have? You have a particular weightage to your team. And then what kind of valuation you are looking at. So all these things gets into percentages, and then based on your assumptions, you will give some weightages and then arrive at a valuation. Okay, my team is like, I am an IIT and maybe a serial entrepreneur who has already exited from a couple of ventures. So you give a high weightage to your team, because a great team can build any kind of business, right? Then comes the business. So whether this business idea is actually required, so then you give a particular weightage to your business idea, and then whether you can actually take a lot of market opportunity from the market size that is available. So a TAM or a SOM, all these are marketing terms that you will be able to understand, and you'll be able to dig out what kind of market opportunity you are looking for the startup in the coming 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, right? And then you will say, okay, this is my scorecard, and based on this scorecard, I can actually value my company to a 2 crore or a 3 crore or a 5 crore, right? A very early stage startup company, which is pre-money, pre-revenue, will not go beyond a 5 crore or a 6 crores of valuation. It will be very optimistic for a startup to go with a 10, 12 crore of valuation when he's not even done a market POC or doesn't have a paying customer, if it's a pre-revenue stage. So that's how you can do. The second one is a peer-to-peer. So, for example, you're getting into an ed tech, right? Which is like online. So we'll take a very simple example. So you're getting into an online teaching, and you have just started. So now there are so many peers available in the ecosystem already. So you should go and study those peers as to when they were at your stage, what was their evaluation, what was the dilution that they had done, what was the money that they had raised, what was the customer that they had been able to acquire, and try to do a peer-to-peer comparison, and then arrive at a guesstimate which you can talk to your investor very freely and very transparently, and then a negotiation can happen over the table. So that's how, when for example, when Unacademy was there, so the others came, and there was they could get a particular valuation just because their competition had done very well. So if the market opportunity say 10 million subscribers, and they have been able to take only 1 million subscribers, so there is an opportunity of 9 million subscribers still, and there's a lot of opportunity of other players coming in the market and taking a pie, right? So that's how you can actually value, because you already have an existing person who has proven the concept in the market, right? So that's how you can actually use various methods of valuation of an early stage startup. The moment you arrive at a startup, then you for finalizing it, you will have to use the methods that have been prescribed by the Companies Act, which are the DCF method or the NAV method. And then that's the validation of your that's kind of a a stamp on your valuation, that even the DCF also says the valuation that you have arrived at. But for getting that stamp, you will have to build your financial model accordingly, which can arrive at that valuation even through a DCF method. But this guesstimate will be done through a scorecard or a peer-to-peer comparison method. It is very important for the founders to understand a pre-money concept and a post-money concept. So what is a pre-money concept? This is where you are valuing your company today before going to raise the round of funding. So for example, you are today valuing your company at 5 crores. So, and you are going to raise a capital of 2 crores for a dilution of say 50%, right? So your pre-money valuation pre-money valuation is 5 crores, and your post-money valuation will be 5 plus 2, right? That is 7 crores, but your number of shares, the value per share will change pre-money and post-money. So it's a very confusing concept, and you should always understand that when you're going to raise the money, you're always going with a pre-money concept and not with a post-money concept, because then you will end up confusing your cap table, and probably it will not be good for you to go half prepared or unprepared with the investor, because this is a very important aspect for a founder to understand what is a pre-money and a post-money valuation. I also already talked about comparing the state specific valuation. So this is basically a peer-to-peer comparison. So as I said, when you are putting all these scorecards, build a idea, the team, and the market opportunity, all these things plays a very important role. And the valuation is actually the last thing which will decide what dilution you will do for your business when you are going to raise that capital. So obviously everyone asks why startups fail to raise funds. So I just have to say two things. Whether you are either you are building a model which no one cares for, no one requires, or you have not been able to raise funds because you have not reached to the or you have not gone to the right person or a right VC or a investor to raise your funds. But yeah, there are so many other reasons for it. Sometimes you go with a very high valuation. Sometimes the scalability of the business is not very good, so the investor does not feel attracted. Sometimes you have no history of your project, and it becomes very difficult for the investor to depend upon the Excel sheet that you have, And while you are having a conviction that this will work, but probably the investor does not have the conviction. Sometimes the founder is very rigid or he's too flexible. So both the aspects are extreme. So I think you have to be, you have to follow a mid path wherein you are not too flexible कि उसने बोला नहीं हम तो 10 से नहीं 20 लेंगे तो तुमने कहा हाँ 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 आप 20 ले लो बस पैसे दे दो, you know. Or sometimes you are too rigid, you're not willing to understand what the investor is saying, and you're saying no, I only want to give 10% of my company. You want to invest, please invest, otherwise my way or highway. Always be congenial to your investors when you're discussing about dilution. You should discuss but not argue. If you get into an argumentative path, the investor will be losing his interest then and there. And it is very important to have a post-revenue stage when you go to raise your external money, because unless you have a proven traction, I think it's very difficult for today's startups to raise money. And that is the reason the entire concept of incubation centers have arrived. Because incubation centers actually give you opportunities to get incubated, to get a market valid, to get a idea validation, because there's so many mentors, there's a faculty that takes care of your ideas. So they will be able to validate from all the critical aspects whether this idea will work or not, because every founder says my idea is the best. Yeah, because apna bacha to sabko acha lagta hai. Everyone likes their own baby, right? Nobody wants to criticize their own baby. So the incubation centers, your mentors, everyone who is there supporting to build your idea will validate, will critically examine and give you a feedback, and hence you will be able to validate your idea, and then they will be able to help you in doing the POC also. Yeah, and give you entire initial infrastructure wherein you can actually build your idea. And then when the idea is validated, you have a proven traction, then it's easier, and they have an investor connect also, so they can get you the right investors who are interested to invest in the idea. So if you are prepared, you don't go unprepared. If you are prepared, then there is no reason that you will not be able to secure a funding. But at the same time, your idea has to be really great, your team has to be really great. Yeah, I'm just going to skip this. So what are the tips and tricks for the founders? In today's time, I think building resilience and patience is the most important thing. So you have to be patient enough in these times, because the times are really hard and unprecedented. You might get a lot of rejections, you might get a lot of delays, but your patience should never die, right? And you have to be resilient. So for example, if you're working on an idea which today suddenly has become non-required, then how you can quickly bounce from that idea to get into something which are favoring today's conditions. So I know of a lot of startups which were doing something, but they quickly bounced to something which was favoring the pandemic conditions, and they were able to sail through, right? So building resilience is very important. Don't get hassled with the rejections that you see. Handle rejections very gracefully. If you become, if you go to 2 investors and you get rejected from those 2 investors, that is not the end of the world. So probably you have not gone to the right investor. So keep on trying. Keep plan A and plan B ready. So if the plan A fails, you can swiftly go to your plan B. And networking, it is very important for you people to network as early stage founders or as successful founders. If you are not enough networked, then you will never be able to, then there'll be no one to guide you or critically, give you feedback and all that. and networking for even for investors also. So keep yourself active on LinkedIn. If you are handling a B2C product, then probably Instagram, Facebook is something that you should be active on, and keep yourself, jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai, after all, that's a very old saying. And I think that's very important for you to be visible in order to become visible to the investors also. So apart from what you're doing, building robust technology, scaling business, funding your own startup, I think these are some attributes which are not related to your startup, which is actually mentoring for the founder itself. So founder has to build all these qualities in himself or herself to be able to build a great startup. So I think that's my piece of advice to all the startups, apart from understanding the numbers, the pitch, and the valuation. Abhijit, I would be happy to take any questions. That's it from my side.
It was excellent, Sonal. I know this topic is very huge and we can't possibly cover everything in the this short amount of time. But all the same, it was very thoughtful information that you have put together. We have some time for a few question answers. Please, my advice is to keep them generic questions and not specific to your own startup. Those we can probably cover in other one-on-one session. So I request my colleague Mr. Pradeep to check if there are any questions, and whoever has a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sonal. I have a question.
Yes,
my name is Satya, and I run a company called Bondby Technology in Bangalore. Okay, so my question is, this concept of super angels, and they say, super angel investors. So may I know a little bit about that, and how do you actually find a super angel for your startup?
Yeah. So see, super angel is the name which has been fancily given to marquee investors. You have you have marquee investors in the ecosystem, which are serial investors, and they have been able to see some successful exits in their investments. So that is the reason they are called as super angels, because they have been able to make some wise investments and have a good exit. So probably people look up to them as to what they are investing next. Yeah, so they can actually depend on them and follow their investment thesis, and also become successful in their investments. So those are the super angels. All these Kunal Shahs and all those startup founders, Binny Bansal and Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who are all angel investors today, they fall under the category of super angels, because they have been able to make a lot of investments and have been able to exit from a couple of from early stage investments. And there are a lot of CXOs from established companies like Google, Amazon, Oyo. These CXOs have been able to either individually or through angel networks, they've been able to make some wise investment decisions, and they also fall under the category of super angels. So my advice to you to find these people is to actually get associated with a couple of startup angel networks, like IAN, like there are a lot of startup angel networks today, right? Every other like if you're in Bangalore, right, Dexter Angels is one of the angel network over there. In Gurgaon and Delhi NCR, I know a lot of them. There is Agility, there is iAngels, there is obviously Mumbai Angels, Ahmedabad Angels, everyone knows about them. So become a part of that. You will be automatically, driven to all these super angels and angel investors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonal. There is one question from Rajeshwari Jagtap.
Okay.
She said, is there any best way to locate the investor?
Yes, I think
How to find the investor?
Yeah, so as I said, for an early stage, incubation centers, every incubation center today is calling investors to speak up, to speak or to address the incubating companies. So if you are a part of any incubation center, obviously you will get some access to those investors. Angel networks, becoming part of the angel network is also one of the methods through which you can reach out to those investors. And obviously then social networking. I think LinkedIn is a great platform, and I've seen a lot of my startups getting the right investors from LinkedIn itself. You have one good investor by your side, who becomes a mentor with you, or and having a mentor is also very important, Rajeshwari, because it's not just investment. Your mentor can bring a lot of investors to you because he or she is connected with the ecosystem, right? So if she or he believes in your idea, then that's the way to go for it. So I think all these platforms can provide you a lot of insights into what's going on in a startup ecosystem and how you can reach out to the right investors.
Yeah, I think Rajeshwari, you got the answers from Sonal. Moreover, if you need any type of suggestions or help, please do write to us, MIT Incubation Center, that is MIT TBI. You can drop me the message. You can drop me message as well. There is one other question, Sonal, from Madhavi Rudra. She has actually two questions. She said, can we approach the investors before making the IPR of their product or a service made by their own startup? So this is the first question. And another one is, what are the key factors for any technology development company to evaluate itself, given that they are pushing their first product or patent? So they are interrelevant with each other. So the main focus is, do we have to go for the patent before going in front of the investors?
See, obviously, you have a lot of negotiation power if your product is patented, right? It can be a patent pending also, but it should be patentable. If you're going a patented product, obviously it has a lot of value, and that becomes one more factor in your valuation, because patent ki apni khud ki value hoti hai, right? So if you're thinking that you're building a unique product, and you can actually patent it yourself without having to take any help from investor, then obviously go for the patents first. And then with that patent, if you go to the investor, you have a high negotiating power. And I think there's a lot of funding help that the government gives. I think Abhijit would be well aware of that you can get funded for filing patents also. So there's a process to it. But yeah, Government of India is helping through startup schemes, etc., to get you some kind of funding support for filing your patents.
Yeah, true. There is another question from Mr. Atul. Do we need a syndicator for investor searching and preparation of model? Over to Sonal. Do we need a syndicator for investor? Yeah. Atul, if you are live, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, if you can ask.
Yeah. Mr. Atul, if you are listening, can you unmute yourself? And can you explain, elaborate what exact query you have?
Good afternoon, everybody. My voice is audible?
Good afternoon. Yes, I can hear.
Just want to know basically for the funding and all the things, do we need basically any mediator or a syndicator who will help us in preparation of the models and basically accordingly give a presentation to the potential investors and all?
So yes, Atul, I think, if the founder thinks that he has enough time to do all these things, I'm sure, he or she can do it. But it's always good to take a professional advice. And this is where I think, some of the startups, they don't understand the importance of a mentor or an advisor or people who you can reach out to, even pro bono. There are a lot of people who does pro bono. I myself has done, plethora of pro bono mentoring. So it doesn't take anything from you. If you find the right pro bono, if you're not able to pay, to find the right pro bono mentor who can actually help you sail through all these things which are not the core focus of your business. So you can stay focused on your business while this person can actually guide you. What is the, review your pitch, give feedback, review your financial model, give feedback. Because I myself, when I see the financial models, I'm a chartered accountant. So when I see the financial models of some of the startups, means it's totally bizarre. Means if they go with these numbers to the investors, they will never get money. So I think it's very crucial for you people to either engage with a mentor or to pay some small amount and get it reviewed before you take that to somebody, or you have somebody as a co-founder, who is expert into all these things and can take care of these things. But please take a professional advice before you go with these documents in front of the investor, because then you'll think that you've been ripped apart. You don't want to fall in that category, because that demotivates you also.
That's true and noted, because I think it will help. One thing is that basically what is acceptable, what is acceptable, what is basically last being considered prevailing in the market. It will help.
Correct.
Basically,
Yes.
to the mentor, and it will sail through. It will sail through easily to the last goal, I can say.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind asking the founder to actually work on a success fee model with a couple of fundraising agencies. Because what happens, because you are not connected with a lot of angel networks or a lot of investors, so it's a very tedious, as I said, it's a very involved process. So first you have to find the right investor, then you have to prepare for becoming investable, and then you have to face that investor, and then you have to face a rejection also. So the entire drill can be shortened, and you can be still motivated, because all the rejections is being faced by the person that you have appointed to do the fundraise for you. So you are getting only filtered things, which will always keep you high in spirits.
Thank you so much.
I hope Atul, you have. Yeah, Sonal, actually, I have a few questions on behalf
Pradeep,
of
your voice
my
is
incubation.
muffling.
Yeah, Pradeep, your voice is not
audible. Startup.
It's
Yeah.
distorted.
I'm audible. I'm audible.
Yeah, now it's fine. We might have lost him. In the meanwhile, any other questions? We can probably take one last question. Anybody who has any query or any thoughts?
Hello.
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Sonal, I have one question on behalf of the startup of my incubator. There are 2-3 startups who always ask me the question while redrafting their valuation sheet, that cost to duplicate and market multiple approach. So can you just elaborate how they should focus on cost to duplicate and market multiple approach, and whether for the service driven startup, in software or service driven startup, the cost to duplicate approach is suitable, or market multiple approach is suitable for the valuation? I need your kind suggestions over here.
So I haven't seen cost to duplicate method is very popular with startups. It is like they are recreating the company, or exactly the same as before. So I haven't seen that. Peer to peer is something which is very favorable for the startups.
Yeah, actually, I would like to share one scenario. In my incubation center, the startup started with the X label of their thought process. Let us say XYZ as a startup company name. and they worked
Yeah.
upon the XYZ brand name. And after 6 months, they thought that
Yeah.
this is not the good one. So while onboarding with MIT TBI, they have started working on another product with the another brand name. So there are 2-3
Okay.
startups in MIT Incubation Center who earlier onboarded with XYZ brand name, and later on they switched to the
Yeah.
PQR. So at that time, the cost to duplicate matters or effective for them, or do they need to go for the peer-to-peer only?
No. So there, in this particular scenario, they might just go for a cost to duplicate, but because are they bringing some legacy from the last startup?
I don't think so. I don't think. The team is same, but they have entirely changed the product.
They are doing, yeah.
Team is same, but the
So
product
see,
product
so
is
in
different.
this, I understand. So basically, what will happen that they are building something from the scratch only. The same
Yes.
same team is building something from the scratch, right? So then their market opportunity may be different. Their last startup may have, say, 40% market opportunity. Maybe the next startup will have a 60% market opportunity, or their market size is different. It may be larger, it may be smaller. If they are coming to a niche product, then probably the market opportunity shrinks. Yeah. So I personally, I don't know what the technicality around it, but personally I feel that they have to revalue the startup. There is nothing which is coming from the legacy.
True.
So I'll give my example just to kind of reiterate or to put the point across. If there is a say, for example, there is a company which is doing face-to-face offline tuition services, right? So you have a supply of tutors, and then you have a supply of your children who are engaged on this platform, and your tutor is taking a one-on-one class by going, or the children coming to the tutor to study, and this is just an enabler, a platform, right? Now what happened? Pandemic came. Now the tutor cannot go to the children house, and the children come to the tutor house, right? Neither they can go to the coaching center. So now what this platform will do, it will bring them online, right? So
True.
it will bring them online, and then from an offline model, it comes to an online model, which is totally different. Online is totally different, offline is totally different. But look at the market opportunity today. Today, this offline was only limited to maybe one city, Gurgaon. But today, the moment they come to online, these set of tutors, which are like 30, 40, 300 in number, they can now address a larger market size because they don't have to visit, right? And they can spend more time because they are saving on the time of transportation. They're going from door to door, or children coming to their house one after the other. So here the same team has kind of pivoted to another model which has got a different market opportunity altogether. So here your valuation method will probably based on the market opportunity and the scalability factor and all those things, the valuation will increase tremendously, right?
True.
So I don't know whether so your example was to start another business from scratch, and my example is to restart a different model in the same venture. So they did not have to change the name of the company, they did not have to change the tutors or bring new people. They just onboarded both the population on their platform and came on a digital platform. That's it. So the valuation will totally increase, and probably they can rebuild their projections and arrive at a new valuation.
I think we can probably stop at that unless anyone else has any further questions. Great. So Pradeep, do you want to formally thank Ms. Sonal again and call this session to me?
Yeah. So I would like to thank on behalf of the management of MIT WPU, the management of MIT TBI, to Sonal Agarwal Bali. Sonal, your insights, your experience and your inputs, which we have observed and read here was really fruitful and effective enough for our, not only for the startup, but for the entire incubation center as well. I thank Dr. Abhijit Sathe sir as well for bringing up this event in the benefit and the interest of the startup. I thank everyone who have participated, who have registered for this event. I hope many of the startups from the MIT, outside MIT, have got at least ounce of the information related to the investment and their protocols. I know within the short period of this 1 hour, we cannot elaborate the entire concepts of investment. But moreover, nevertheless, if you feel any kind of an query, you can write to us. You can contact Dr. Abhijit Sathe or myself, that is Pradeep Dhage as well. I again would like to thank Sonal Agarwal for giving her best time to MIT TBI. We will be in touch, Sonal, in the near future as well, as our startup would be surely happy to get the help from your side. Thank you very much, Sonal.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. Thank you so much, Abhijit. And I really thank the entire team of MIT to bring this session together. I'm really overwhelmed to see the kind of participation we've done, only 2 days of LinkedIn post. And it's really good to see so many people coming and, getting impacted by whatever knowledge I have. So thank you so much for attending and listening to me. I just hope it brought some value to your startup and to yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Stay safe during these
Thank
times and take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.